I'm not gonna do this. Gonna come. Make a couple bands for that. Got the had no option. I would not do it with my mama. Let me see. What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling on this beautiful Sunday, April 12th? I have to throw the do-rag on real quick. Just finished cutting my hair. Had to cut this down. And we haven't streamed in probably over a week, sadly. But this is Days of Reacts. We'll have a couple of reactions today. I saved some videos I did want to watch, so we're gonna get into that today. Oh, so I know this is probably going to be new if anybody's watching. Thumbnails. I don't know if I'm gonna do it between today. I'm gonna do it at the beginning of the stream, but I don't know in the future that if we're going to do the face reactions for my thumbnails at the beginning of the stream or at the end of the stream. So today I'm gonna do it at the beginning. I think next stream I'm gonna do it at the end to see how I feel. I think I'm only gonna do a stream for 2 hours a day. So just get a couple of videos out just on the stream today, and then we're gonna put that on the tube on YouTube. Hi YouTube. So yeah. I think my mic is good. I don't know about that. And I need to go get my stand, so I'm gonna get my stand. So I'm gonna try to do like probably 2 of them, like trying to think I'm gonna go. Oh nah, see that's too much. That's a good one. Damn, I guess I didn't write down no faces, so I'm trying to come up the spot. Let's go on. I did that already. Alright, that's it for that one. I'm gonna go get my stand real quick from my phone, and I'll be right back. And we're gonna start watching videos. What did I say before I left? I don't know. I think my Elgato camera, the way it's set up, it's terrible. Now the camera, I think it's the camera I have, or I never got into the settings, so that's why my camera does look stretched, and then to fit the screen, because I think typically it's like this. Let me see. Yeah, so it's like this. So I'm not used to like it looking like that. So to just let it fit the screen, you gotta stretch it up. So gotta deal with it. I got a regular camera. I got all the high tech. I got a good camera. I got the, I think it's the Logitech. Yeah, I got a Logitech camera. A little starting out. And the best car. I was born in '94. I want to listen to that song. That boy was like that. Oh, what I didn't check is my frames. Damn, that's fire. Cause I think last dude, I forgot to do it. I forgot to look at that, and I don't even think I can look at it while I'm streaming. Should I restart my stream and start back up? Yeah, I'm gonna restart. I'm gonna have the other one back, and just like that, we are back. We are back. I think I'm probably just gonna save both and then cut it out and then replay it. Cause I'll just put both of them on there, honestly. Yeah, I just restarted stream. But yeah, like I said, I got the better cameras, so yeah, I got that one twin. That's muted because yeah, I'm not gonna be on my Xbox today. I'm not playing no games today. Let's see what videos did I have. Probably looking right past it. Frivolous fasting, glance here. MJ, PC setup, Twitch. Watch it later. Let's watch. Here we go.
It's August.
So we watched the Spider-Man already. I want to watch the Jimmy High Roller. I don't want to steal a lot of his, but Jimmy's videos are really good. Jimmy got really good videos. That's why. What's your YouTube? AcexHix VODs right now. I have 2 channels. One that I posted some old content a long time ago, but the page I post on now is just like my VODs right now until I get my Hogwarts gameplay. That's why I've been taking so long to play it, is because my first gameplay was 3 hours, so I'm trying to cut that up into a YouTube video. Whew, editing is no joke. So, but it's Ace of Odds. I don't know how to turn that off. I ain't gonna lie. It doesn't. I don't think it does either. I have to change all those links up. But it's the same. It's the same name as this. Just and then add VODs to it. I believe if you just search up my same as my Twitch name, it pops up too.
The only thing more exhilarating.
Appreciate your support, Vaughn. Appreciate it. Donut. Okay. Don't say anything. 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 There's just y'all tag team. I love both of y'all. Don't even act like you didn't hear that at all. I don't think my link works though. Just laugh. Just laugh it off. Just laugh it off. You know how, like, when your parent calls you the wrong name? That's how I get y'all too. It's like my little sisters. It's just we getting got mixed up. I don't know why though. They don't act nothing alike. Y'all funny though. Fucking hilarious. We gonna watch this video first. Ooh, no, not this one.
The only thing.
Yeah, myths and greatest comeback. I don't know how do I stop the when you type in chat and it makes that sound, because I don't even know why it does it. I never activated that. Let me see. Alert box. Oh, it's the chat box. Let's check the animations platform. Media chatters. Browse. The technical difficulties. Yeah. See, I don't know where it makes a sound when a chatter, which is cool. I mean, don't get it wrong. It's cool, but notifications. So, frames. Sound appearance. It'll be alright. Let me try to get my camera back together. NBA myths we all believe were true. I ain't like Jimmy Hiro, W content, W basketball, playoffs is around the corner, literally in like a day. Let's get into that.
Thing more exhilarating than being a kid at an NBA game behind the basket distracting the other team from making free throws is being a grown man behind the basket distracting the other team from making free throws. Sit in this section at any
Cincinnati? I don't feel like it.
Basketball game, and there is no end to the effort home teams and their fans will make to try to get the
Oh, discombobulated. When you ain't streaming the whole week, goddamn discombobulated.
opposing team to miss a few shots at the charity stripe. Fans with signs, fans dousing themselves in paint and insane outfits. Those dreadfully loud thunder sticks they hand out before the game. Mascots themselves getting in on the action. The only problem is, fans attempting to distract free throw shooters at the line doesn't work. Like, at all. Over the years, researchers have done numerous studies into this topic and found that distracting free throw shooters essentially has no effect.
I didn't know that it didn't work.
When
Wow.
comparing free throw shooting of teams playing at home versus away, a negligible difference was found in free throw percentage. Over the last
That doesn't
25
work.
seasons,
That's actually
home
crazy.
teams have shot just 0.2% better from the line compared to visiting teams, suggesting that efforts made by fans of the home team have no effect on performance.
That's
and
actually
that even
crazy.
the 0.2% discrepancy was due to other factors. Years ago, sports
Being
science
nervous.
conducted an experiment testing this theory, how or
Oh,
if
he was
fan
a shooter.
distraction affects the shooting
I forgot his name.
efficiency of players at the line. And they
Yeah, ain't
tried
nobody-
everything,
ain't nobody
and
in
they
the
came
gym.
back with the
That
same
ain't nothing.
results. It does not. Despite
Yeah,
the
10%.
effort, fans attempting
Yeah.
to distract opposing players at the line virtually doesn't affect their performance at all.
I think the most places that actually works is in college. I don't even know if on the D1 level that works. But high school it definitely works.
However, there is a different way fans can dramatically affect free throw shooting throughout NBA games, and that is by not going to the games. After years
Huh?
of attempting to create controlled environments
Out of
for
all
these
things?
studies, researchers were given the perfect sample on the effects of fan interaction and player performance
COVID.
due to COVID and social distancing back in 2020 and 2021.
Hold on, there's no way COVID messed up people's free throw percentage, but they was dropping 50. Like, it was no names dropping 50 back to back. Like, I think this is doing a Thunder. This is for the Thunder was good and they won the championship recently. I know someone on the Pacers, Trailblazers. It was like no names were dropping 50. Like, they was good players. They're in the NBA, but it's because they didn't have to fly as much. I was like in a jet lag and
Where the NBA
Dropping
had a
50.
season and a half of games featuring 0 fans. And after
Yeah.
gathering the data, researchers found that free throw percentage jumped up by 3 to 4% without fans in attendance across the NBA.
or without 3 to 4. Well, that's because I believe that's more so because they didn't have to leave and go fly to other states to play. Everybody, I feel like all percentages just went up. 3-point percentages went up, and just any shots. I believe they all went up. I actually want to see if he talks about that.
From about 76% to 79%, a percentage that fell back down to the long-standing league average of about 75% once
Yeah.
fans were brought back into attendance the following season. In fact, their data showed that having fans in attendance affected home teams equally as much as away teams. Overall, it was found that the largest variable that had an effect
I
on
mean, I would believe that it's a lot of people in attendance. It's a lot of people, and just playing in that big of a crowd, it still can dictate on how you really play. Even though like it's not a distraction between free throws, it's still how you play, and it's like the intensity and just the adrenaline, everything that pumps up with having a crowd. It can make it break you.
on free throw shooting was the circumstance of the game. How close the score was, how late in the game the shots were taken, and how important the free throws were. So,
Cool.
although
I mean,
there
that's
isn't much you can do as an individual to affect the outcome of free throws, if no one is in attendance and there is absolutely nothing at stake,
People love to
your
go to
team
games,
might
though.
just hit those free
So,
throws.
it's kinda hard.
But this is just one of many misconceptions NBA fans have been led to believe for years. Some of them true,
Wemby.
others
That's stupid.
just a myth.
Oh, yeah, ad coming up. You know, he always puts the ad
Today's
right,
video
yep.
is sponsored by SeatGeek. Everyone can get, just click anytime.
I think that's where they had this. Yep. Everybody skips it.
On December 26, 2020,
The hot
during
hand.
a Warriors practice, Steph Curry pulled off a nearly impossible feat. Over the course of 5 minutes, Steph hit 105
in a row.
consecutive three-point shots. 105.
And it was all videotape too. I remember this. Everybody was talking about this. Like, what? He had 105 3-points? Yes.
In a row. Most of these shots not even touching the rim. But Steph is the greatest shooter in the world. So you would think a feat like this should be
Dame
in the
just
realm
posted
of
something like this. I
possibility
wonder if he
for
posted
him.
that.
And technically, it is. If we assume Steph shoots about 95% from 3 in an empty gym during practice with no defense, the chances of him making 105 threes in a row is less than 0.5%. Possible, but there might be something else going on here. After this
What?
clip surfaced, many fans began speculating the hot hand theory, an old myth that a player who makes a sequence of shots has a greater chance of continued success in the subsequent attempts.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. That hot hand theory is just like takeover in 2K. That is true. That hot hand, that is true. If you see a couple shots going, it's plenty of times players have
Fans
this
will be
mode.
the first to tell you that the hot hand is a very real thing.
Yeah.
We've all seen the hot hand catch fire in real time when a few good makes seems to be the direct cause.
Just
of
like
a few
Curry in the Olympics. That's prime example. Curry in the Olympics, when he used to shot that over 2 defenders, oh my God, crazy.
or good makes. If you've played basketball, you've probably felt this yourself. Except research says otherwise. In 1985, researchers crunched the numbers and found that there was no correlation between the success of one shot leading to greater success on the next shot. This research
It's
was
confidence, bro.
groundbreaking
It's
at-
confidence too. Especially if you're in a home crowd and you hit 2 shots in a row, the crowd just going crazy. Then you hit a 3rd shot. That's what they keep. Give it to the hot hand. They always tell that.
time and called the
That's
idea
true.
of the
There's
hot
no way it's
hand
not true.
a fallacy, a myth. However, recently further research was done on this topic, a lot of research, and what they found was that the hot hand does in fact exist. Contrary to the research done in 1985,
Oh,
with
Baker?
the advent of modern technology, tracking data, and more detailed shooting logs, many studies have shown that when a player makes consecutive shots, the chances of their following shot going in actually does increase. Now, the results of each study are heavily dependent on the sample of players, with one sample seeing a 3 to 4% increase in shooting percentage in these hot hand moments.
Miller.
Another
Greatest series of player to player, the individual players do not have a hot hand. All Dwight Howard can shoot threes, corners all day. He's unlockable to he will get into a rhythm. It is a simple. I mean, Dwight Howard is a hard example because he can shoot threes in the gym, like during practice, but in a game is fans. I'm telling you, fans dictate a lot. And another thing, Dwight Howard doesn't shoot threes in the NBA. Like he had a podcast I believe he was on, and he said when he went overseas to China or wherever he played overseas, he got to do whatever he wanted. He got to, and he was hitting threes. He was, he gonna miss them because that's not a shot that he always takes. But he was taking crazy shots that he never took in the NBA because he had to play a role in the NBA.
sample of players getting an 8% boost in shooting percentage, and a third sample getting a 12% increase in shooting percentage after hitting 3 shots in a row as opposed to missing 3 shots in a row. Despite the variance in the overall effect of the hot hand, the results showed that there is a very clear correlation between making your previous shots and the expected outcome of your next shot. But in 2022, researchers at the University of Pittsburgh took
No, it's really crazy that they like dissect little things like this. Like, it's fascinating to me, honestly. Like, they sat down and had a conversation of having the hot hand. Is it a myth or not? That's actually insane, honestly. I wonder what else they had discussions about.
this one step further by not just studying the shooting habits of players at practice in controlled environments,
just thinking
but
about
actually
the
gathering
hot
data
hand
from live games. After analyzing 170,000 field goal attempts in NBA games from the 2014 and 2015 seasons, pulling from play-by-play logs and player tracking, and comparing expected results against actual outcomes, they found that the hot hand was not only real, it had dramatic effects.
What's that?
Outcomes. They found that the hot hand was not only real, it
hot hand effect and
had dramatic effects on the performance of certain players. Specifically, 30 players showed a statistically significant hot hand effect. After hitting 2 shots in a row, these players were 2.7% more likely to hit the third. After 3 straight makes, the boost grew to 4.4%. And after 4 straight makes, the likelihood of hitting the next shot jumped by nearly 6%. Their data also showed that the hot hand is not a constant around the league, but instead varies from player to player, suggesting that it's not about how good of a shooter they are or how well they can score, but rather how each player reacts psychologically after making or missing a shot. A phenomenon that was dismissed for decades, but those who've played basketball knew all along was a real thing. In general, research shows that the success of previous shot attempts does in fact increase the chances of success in the following attempts,
that was obvious,
proving the existence of the hot hand. 10 years ago, Klay Thompson...
I feel like that's obvious. Like, it has to be obvious. That has happened so many times, even in pickup ball. When you see somebody hit 2 to 3 shots that typically don't hit those shots in the game that you play pickup with that person before, you be like, bro, what is going on? He has the hot hand. He has the confidence. I believe it's confidence and repetition. More so confidence. I feel like it's more confidence than repetition, honestly. Because it's so many times where I was shooting around in the gym, playing one-on-one with somebody, and I would hit a shot that I don't ever hit, or take a shot that I haven't practiced about. After I made 2 to 3 shots in a row already, playing one-on-one, playing 2s or 3s or 4 or 5s. And you just shoot it because you made 3 shots already. So you just shooting anything. You shoot farther and back, or you shoot a fadeaway, and you just make it. You be like, oh, I don't practice this shot, and I made it because I was confident in shooting the shot that I was going to make it. That's why they always say, have confidence in everything you do, because you don't know what the outcome can be, even though you've never done it before.
Thompson set an NBA record by scoring 37 points in a single quarter. Even crazier is that he shot a perfect 13 for 13 from the field, 9 for 9 from 3, and hit both of his free throws.
You won.
37 points, 1 quarter, not a single miss. Based off of his shooting splits from that season, the chances of him pulling this off were about 0.002%. So either Klay Thompson was the luckiest man alive on that night, or his hands were on fire.
I feel like after he seen 2 go in, he just... Man, this boy is a freaking nature.
This is 14-year-old Jeremy Gohey, one of the highest-ranked basketball prospects in the world in the class of 2028. Lately, Jeremy's name has received some extra buzz for his recent performances and the accelerated progression his game has seen over the last year. But there's one quality in particular that makes Jeremy one of the most unique prospects in the...
It's 7'9". 7'9". This is insane. Well, there is no... He can be a better Wemby. Honestly, he's 7'9". You cannot stop this on the court. What's good, Pat? What you want me to call you? You want me to call you a real name, or do you want to call you Pat? Let me know.
The fact that he is 7 feet 6 inches tall. A 14-year-old running around with kids half his size. And with each passing year, it seems that these larger-than-life prospects are becoming more and more common. Every other week, a new name popping up with a height next to it that looks like a typo. And many of these prospects...
And what's crazy is... Call you Pat. What's crazy is... This is new. There was a lot of tall people back then. I believe, but it wasn't as, I don't think it's as common, but I think in the basketball world, it's a lot more common now.
Prospects aren't playing a traditional back-to-the-basket big man role. They're
Yeah, they
facing
playing like
up,
guards,
running in
too.
transition, and using skills that you would usually associate with wings, smaller players,
This
and
is
perimeter
this is
guys.
myths, NBA myths that we all believe were true.
Which has led some fans to believe that at this rate, the NBA will
my
one day
God.
be exclusively full of mega
that?
giants at every position in possession of skills they
bet
have
that,
no business having. But this idea that the NBA
name?
is heading towards
Giannis,
being
brother.
a league full of Victor Wembanyama's is a
No,
myth.
yeah.
At least for the foreseeable future.
There's no way.
Finding players over 7 feet, let alone 7'6", with the
got
tools to
ducked
become
everywhere you
serviceable
go.
NBA players is as rare today as it's ever
yeah.
been. In fact, finding
Porzingis
7
stay
footers
hurt.
who can stay in the league at all is a difficult task. In 1990, 10.2% of all players in the league were at least 7 feet tall. And up until about 2010, they remained about 10% of the league. But then this number slowly began to fall. Each season, pure size playing less of a factor in the league. The market share big men once had began to shrink, eventually ending up where it is today, where 7-footers make up just
That's 2025?
6.5% of the NBA.
Nah, it shot up.
Nearly half of where it was 35 years ago, with
Yeah.
every inch above 7 feet exceedingly more rare. The league featuring just 1 to 6 players 7'3" or
7'3"
taller
above.
at any given time for the last 3.5 decades.
It was
a
tall-
rate
yeah, it was
that
taller back
has
then.
not
That's actually
increased
crazy.
in recent years. Now, looking into the future, there is currently only 3 players taller than 7 feet on the 2026 NBA mock draft board. 2027 also features just one
Only
player
one?
over 7 feet tall projected to be drafted. And if finding the oversized talent wasn't hard enough, developing it
I think a lot of them
is
just not
almost
playing basketball in
impossible.
general, 'cause
Throughout the
it
last
takes a lot
10
more skill to
drafts,
be in the league.
37 players who are 7 feet or
I ain't gonna hold on. I can go down this list. I know I got a fantasy draft, but nah, he okay. He ain't really play that long, but messed up my fantasy so many times. But tough, GOAT, about to be MVP. Nah, he tough. Don't know him. I don't know the most of this. Tough, but he injury prone. He's tough too. Chet, Bobo, bro, he could have been Wemby. He could have been better than Wemby. I hate Aiden with a fucking passion. I swear I got. What is that? You sipping up? You pouring up? Pour up. Shit, give me a shot. Take it from me. I'm not taking it. Trash on my Lakers. But, oh my God, he's a GOAT. Noodles. Oh yeah. Cup of noodles with some eggs. Throw a little hot sauce in there. Gas. Carl's tough. I think it's Hartenstein. He's tough.
taller were drafted. Of those
Porzingis
37
tough.
players,
He just ain't injured,
25
though.
of them are still in the league. And of those 25, only
Bobo's not in the league. Who team? What he on? What team he on? Hold on. Who? Oh yeah, cause he was in the league. He got dunked on by Anthony Edwards. I think he took him out the league.
7 players,
was
25
a-
of
yeah,
them
it
are
wasn't
still in
him, I
the
don't
league.
remember.
And of those 25, only 4 of them have a game that is even somewhat utilized on the perimeter. But this
Floor
list
marketing.
includes
He be
every
cooking on
7-foot
my
draftee
fantasy.
in the
He be
entire
cooking.
league. If we exclude players under 7'2", then a decade worth of supersized big man talent gets reduced to just 4 players. Now, at the moment, there are 339 players who are currently listed as NBA prospects through 2027. These are players who are either being scouted by teams across the league or have NBA potential, according to analysts. Of these 339 players around the world, only 6 of them are at least 7'2". And of these 6, 1 of them is projected to be drafted. Regardless of what you see online, players with
I
this
believe most of them are gonna get drafted or picked up in the offseason just because you can't teach height. And if you work with them for at least a year or two, give them some money, throw them in the G League, they can be nice.
size, let
That'd be
alone
nice.
guard skills, are still extremely rare, and there are virtually none of them currently in the NBA prospect pipeline. So, no, the NBA will not be a league full of Wembys anytime soon.
Wemby's a freak of nature.
The whole entire point of sports is to win. That is the ultimate goal of every player, every team, anyone who's ever competed in a sport. And yet, in the NBA, teams are incentivized to lose. Well, Not all of them,
Yeah,
just
tanking.
the bad ones.
Yeah.
Since the inception of the NBA draft lottery in 1985, tanking has been a common strategy to land top draft
Get
picks
top
and
draft picks,
potentially climb your way out of NBA irrelevance. If you're having a bad season, might as well make it a little bit worse to better your odds at getting a top pick in the draft. But the validity of tanking and if it actually works long term is still a topic of debate. Does blowing up an entire season or two really increase the chances of a team winning more games and contending for a title in the future? Well, this shouldn't even be a question, because this man.
It's sad for the Wizards, because the Detroit Pistons are their #1 seed, and the Washington Wizards, I don't even think they made the last time they made the playoffs when John Wall was there. I don't think they made it. Like, they're a terrible franchise. I mean, they have Anthony Davis and Trae Young, but I feel like it's just going to just sell tickets and raise ticket prices more than win games, honestly.
Tanking for top draft picks is not only extremely effective, it is the fastest way out of the pits of NBA standings. Between 1966 and 1984, the team with the worst record in the league had a 50% chance of landing with the top pick. A coin toss. Like a literal coin toss between them and the team with the second worst record. But teams took advantage of this, so over the years, those odds have decreased drastically to where they are today, where the teams with the worst record.
50% chance to get a #1 draft pick just by being the worst team in the league by a coin toss. That is insane.
Records in the league each have a 14% chance of getting the first overall pick. 1 in 7 odds. Odds that are so slim that it shouldn't be worth throwing a whole season away for. And yet, the worst teams in the league continue to take those odds year after year.
Because they can't win games regardless.
From 2000 to 2020, the teams that landed with the #1 overall pick in the draft averaged just 34.8 wins per season in the 3 seasons leading up to their tanking season. Then, of course, most of them tanked for that #1 pick, averaging just 25 wins in those tanking seasons. But then they bounced back, averaging nearly 41 wins in the 5 seasons following their #1 pick. A nearly 15% increase in wins from before winning the draft lottery to after winning it. But this boost in success doesn't just apply to teams who won the draft lottery, because here are the average records for teams who landed with the 2nd and 3rd overall pick in the draft. Teams who also saw a notable boost in wins after landing a top pick. In fact, on average, teams won 5 more regular season games per season in the 5 years following a top 3 pick in the draft. Now,
I believe this is the NBA. I believe in the NBA, having 1 or 2 guys can change your whole team. Just seeing how LeBron operated with the Cavs being the worst team, going to the Cavs, giving 1 or 2 pieces, and then being the best team in the league, going to the finals, winning, is insane. Who else has done it? But NFL, I believe it's way harder. NFL is way harder if you even gift the #1 seed, you still have to get pieces throughout the 2 or 3 years, just like the Jackson Jaguars. They got second. They have Tyreek, no. The QB and wide receiver hold on, let me see. I'm trying to remember his name. I keep thinking about Travis Kelce. That's a tight end for the Kansas season. I think it's like Trevor. No, it's not Trevor Lawrence. He plays on the same team as them. Travis Hunter. Yeah, but they're gonna need 3 to 4 more pieces before they even be playoff contenders. I think they lost first round, but he was hurt too.
Where the real difference comes in is the playoffs, where teams who won the #1 overall pick in the draft lottery averaged just 0.6 playoff wins per season leading up to their tanking season. In the 5 years following their first overall pick, they averaged 3 playoff wins per season. 5 times the amount of playoff success they had prior to their pick and prior to tanking. And again, teams that landed with the 2nd and 3rd pick also saw a drastic increase in playoff success in the 5 following seasons. Use any metric to determine the merit of tanking in the NBA, and you'll find that if teams are willing to be horrifically bad for 1 season, they will more than likely bounce back better than they were before they tanked. Even when teams don't select a player who turns out to be a franchise quarterback.
So tough. Oh my God. He's hurting me right now. Brandon Ingram, tough. Lonzo Ball, tough before injury.
Stone, on most occasions,
Please don't
they
show another
still
person.
end up flipping that player for
Oh my god, 80. Why do we keep showing the Lakers?
valuable assets, making a top pick in the draft extremely.
Getting that dub, baby. Actually, now thinking about it, we got Kuzma like later in the round, but Ingram, I believe we traded. I don't know who we traded Ingram from, or he lost his contract. I ain't gonna lie, he threw me off so fucking bad. Oh my god, missed wide open shots in the corner. I ain't gonna lie. Carter Pope bucket, JaVale McGee bucket. Set on the bench. The brothers of him, J.R. Smith. I ain't gonna lie, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy how LeBron picked up J.R. Smith. I don't think he had no PT. Rondo bucket, Kuzma bucket, bucket. Forgot his name. Dwight Howard. I don't know where he at. Dominant.
Under almost any circumstance. In fact, tanking has been so effective for so long that the NBA has tried everything in the book to mitigate the advantage it grants teams. And still, even after reformatting the draft lottery,
I believe if you did, but then it wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't matter though. I feel like the bottom 8 wouldn't matter. I mean, I believe teams would go for more wins and try to win more if everyone who didn't make the playoffs has an even number of getting the number 1 pick. I mean, it wouldn't matter then if people wouldn't tank then. If every team that didn't make the playoffs had an even number of becoming the number 1 pick in the draft, I believe that would help.
4 times.
Come on, Dave, Adam Silver, hit me up. I got ideas for you.
Overwhelming advantage lies with the team who is willing to be horrifically bad. Now, the catch here is that very rarely, if ever, does tanking lead to a championship. The reason for this being that chronic losing usually happens within dysfunctional organizations, which then pushes these bad organizations to tank, which then leads them to getting top-end talent that never gets developed, utilized properly, or built around because the organization is bad, which inevitably leads to more.
Damn, what the happened to his head?
Properly or built around.
We see that?
Because the organization is bad, which.
Damn, boy. You might as well cut that shit off. That shit. All the spray came off that shit, nigga head.
Inevitably leads to more tanking. So if
I believe LaMelo, he had to go to a terrible team to develop into the player that he is now. He's a lot more confident. I believe he should. I don't see him winning in the playoffs, honestly. He has to have at least he's LaMelo is more of a 2 player. I don't believe he's a number 1 because of how he developed his teammates, and he could be a Jokic if he has better pieces around him, honestly. Like a point guard Jokic.
Team's goal is to win a championship.
He can score and pass.
Well, they're probably not in a position to tank in the first place. But if they just don't want to be an NBA bottom feeder anymore, then tanking is unfortunately an incredibly viable option.
I said W video by Jimmy. W video. Let me see. Face cam. Let's see. I don't need my AirPod right now. Honestly, everything sounds good right now until let's see. Until I watch something. Oh, I did have this on the side. Let's see. What kind of videos do I want to watch? It's between. I have a couple videos up here. I just don't know what direction I want to go into because I know it's one says like Pawn Stars is a faking show on TV. Here's the evidence. I've seen this. This was popular. I wanted to watch this on stream one day. I might have to watch this on another day. Deadliest Assassins all time. How it feels to die in every prehistoric era. Cops rob the dark web king. The hunt for America's smartest killer. Let's watch this. It's a firm video. He has W videos. They make great content. The hunt for America's smartest killer. Let's get into it.
My motive for doing what I am going to do
is
simply
tripping. Oh my god. Gotta make sure y'all can see it. Alright, again. The hunt for the America's smartest killer.
personal revenge. I do not expect to accomplish anything by it. Lincoln, Montana, 1996. This cabin is the chosen home of Theodore J. Kaczynski, more commonly known as the Unabomber. He's long been feared as America's smartest criminal, a serial bomber who's killed and wounded targets across the country with no clear connection. For 17 years, he's eluded the FBI. It's the largest, most expensive manhunt in the Bureau's history.
I wonder what was his reason? What was his motive?
He's the evil genius they simply can't catch. Likely history's most intellectual serial killer. He's terrorized the nation, instilling fear in Americans about opening their mail and getting their
Oh, I heard about this, where he delivered explosives to people's front door. Yeah, this is crazy.
And he did it all from his cabin.
Oh
Here
yeah, and they
is
made a
where he
movie
built
about
his
this.
bombs, where he wrote his manifesto, and where he evaded capture for nearly 2 decades. It's where he turned from off-the-grid recluse to world-famous murderer. This cabin contains all the evidence the FBI will need to convict him.
And I think they still couldn't convict him because
It's
he
located
didn't have no
deep in the Montana
fingerprints.
wilderness. Back in 1969, Ted moved here from California, where he left behind a shining career as a math professor at UC Berkeley. He wanted to get closer to nature and far, far away from everyone who pisses him off, which is most people. He built this cabin with his brother, back when Ted still talked to him. It's got no electricity, no plumbing, just a wood stove, a bed, and a whole lot of books.
Yeah, I believe
Right
that's all
now,
you need.
Ted is
I
built-
believe that's all you need, especially you can't tell nobody this location. I believe you can't trust nobody.
Another bomb. They're meticulously crafted, and he's continuously improving his technique. Every year they become more lethal. In fact, he's got another one under his bed, wrapped and ready to go. But he won't get a chance to send it, because despite his intellect, he made some pretty dumb mistakes.
I believe it's hard, especially if you have, if you have all the people looking for you, FBI, CIA, everybody, they have looking for him. I believe it's hard to not make a mistake, because especially if you're only one person and then you have hundreds of people looking for you, and this one person picked up that 80 to 90, 1,000 people that didn't pick up. It's hard to just stay enclosed and just be smarter than everyone. It's hard to be smarter. It's always someone smarter. It's always somebody that can find out some more information. Especially nowadays. Nowadays it's cameras, evidence. That's what's it's a lot less serial killers. I think it's a word that's hard to say, but it's hard to find all of them. Okay. Where's copyright? Might be copyright. We gotta skip this. Sorry.
Is largely based on This video is largely based on these 2 books. Links are in the description.
Okay.
We attribute the social and psychological problems of modern society to the fact that society requires people to live under conditions radically different from those under which the human race evolved. Born in 1942, Ted grows up in a pretty average family in the suburbs of Chicago. They're working-class Polish Americans. His parents are politically progressive, bookish and intellectual, and really into the outdoors. They're strict but loving. At least, that's how they remember it. It becomes obvious at a young age that Ted is exceptionally gifted, so his parents push him to succeed. He skips 2 grades and easily aces every class. He's a pretty normal kid for someone with an...
I wonder what goes through geniuses' mind at a young age, especially when they're able to take in so much information at one time and being able to learn and study. That's why I believe Suits, I love the show Suits just because of a person being able to consume so much information, and once they learn it, they remember it for the rest of their life. It's fascinating to me.
IQ of 168. Sure, Ted is quiet, shy around girls, and arrogant, but he has a core circle of friends and plenty of hobbies. Like his parents and brother, he loves playing music,
They
reading,
don't.
and camping.
I don't believe get to have a childhood. It's because of how smart they are, and it's sad to say, because like the show Sheldon didn't have a typical childhood, but I believe it's hard to have a typical childhood when you're that smart, because you have the potential to do so much for the world that that's what they push you towards. Yeah, it's sad.
People like Ted.
It's sad.
They'll later remember him as a sensitive, respectful kid. All that starts to change when Ted enrolls at Harvard University at just 16 years
Sure
old.
he was.
Like many college freshmen, Ted struggles to adjust. Here, he no longer feels like the smartest person in every room. And as a working-class kid thrown into the world of America's elite, he's a fish out of water. Other students and even faculty mock his shabby clothes and blue-collar background. He's deeply bothered by their snobbery, pain that will follow him through life.
Yeah, getting bullied would change you.
Ted's also just really young. Younger than
You feel the same thing? You was getting bullied because you was being smart? I always never understood bullies that pick on you to the point of make you do harm, or just constantly pick on the same person every day. I never understood that.
almost everyone else on campus. As an adult, Ted will write his mother furious letters about
Definitely
this.
made fun of people though. We definitely made fun of people, especially with the baggy clothes, getting joned on, joning. You had to fight your battles back. I mean, my area wasn't really where I grew up, wasn't bad, but you definitely had to learn how to jone.
He demands apologies for pushing him out of the house before he was ready. Ted becomes depressed, and his grades suffer.
Oh, you just
His
smart,
classmates describe him as a total loner, moody, rude, and virtually mute. He's that guy on the dorm floor who only leaves his room to go to class, who ignores everyone else, who slams doors.
Yeah.
There's a stench of rotting food wafting from his room. Ted doesn't know it yet, but his withdrawn and alienated demeanor has caught the eye of a psychology professor. Dr. Henry A. Murray is very famous, with an on-campus research center named after him. He's basically a god in the social sciences. Murray is looking out for particular types of students, those who will make excellent guinea pigs for an experiment. His final, most elaborate experiment, the capstone of a long and illustrious career. It also happens to be a CIA-funded project designed to cause extreme distress and break down the subject's sense of self. Clearly, we are in a position to do a great deal of damage, and it does appear that the FBI is not going to catch us anytime soon. The FBI is a joke.
Oh, this is what the professor said? Wow.
It's the 1970s in San Francisco. The city is a hotbed of anti-government activity. There's outrage over the Vietnam War. Protest bombings are a regular occurrence. Explosions happen every week up through the mid-80s. The FBI dubs it the Belfast of North America. Radical far-left groups like the Weather Underground and the Symbionese Liberation Army
Beating his ass.
take credit for many of the bombings. So most of the cases are pretty straightforward in terms of understanding motive and perpetrator. But amidst all of this, the FBI's San Francisco bomb squad makes a shocking discovery. 12 mysterious, similarly built bombs can be linked to one elusive killer or group. They have next to nothing to go on. Just for whatever unknown reason, this string of explosives seems to target universities and airlines. Whoever is building these bombs is an expert crafter and careful to not leave any DNA behind. Not a hair, not a fiber.
I want to know what did he study and learn? Because he had so much free time that he only went to class. That's the only time he left. So he had to read so much on this to not leave no evidence. Especially the first time it happened, you don't really have experts. I mean, you have experts in that city, but you don't have experts coming from different countries, different states, just yet.
They're encased in beautiful handmade wooden boxes. There are no eyewitnesses to the bombings, and no letters from organizations claiming credit. The victims appear to be scattershot of random people. The unknown perpetrator is referred to by the code Unibomb for University and Airline Bomber. So far, his bombs have killed 1 person and injured 20 others across 5 different states. Unlucky recipients of the Unabomber's early packages include a campus security guard, a handful of graduate students and professors, a secretary, an airline executive, and passengers on a flight from Chicago to DC. Some are injured quite badly. The first death is in 1985, Hugh Scruton, a guy who owned a computer store in Sacramento and was about to get married. What does he have to do with anything at all? Far away in his cabin, Ted reads about his death and chuckles to himself.
That's
He
crazy.
hears that the FBI offers a $25,000 reward for any information. He's flattered. The Unabomber is making waves. Not bad for the actions of one man in a 10 by 12 foot shack with no electricity, running water, or phone service. Pretty hard to imagine now. These days, connection isn't optional. It's how we get around, check in, look stuff up, call for help, all of it. That's where Saley comes in. With affordable global data in over 200 destinations in 8 regions, Saley is the eSIM provider that keeps you online while abroad.
He called me.
junkyards.
He called me with that. I did not expect that.
And jars of chemicals for making his bombs, binders and binders full of notes, all kinds of disguises for delivering the bombs, like wigs and sunglasses, and shoes with fake soles. It's crammed to the gills, but meticulously organized. At this point,
Yeah,
the
he was
FBI
smart,
has 0
reading a lot of
promising
books.
leads, and by the end of it all, they'll never actually find the perpetrator themselves. The bomber is always several steps ahead of them. They'll pursue thousands of dead ends.
He had to have the police chatter radio. He had to
spend
have that.
hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars and pour countless man-hours into this case. They have no idea why he's targeting the people that he is, but the bombs are so precise, so well crafted. There's got to be a motive, right?
I wonder if he had somebody else helping him. That's the
In
main question.
1987, there's finally a break in the case. The Unabomber plants a package outside a Salt Lake City computer store, and a lady spots him. He's wearing a gray hoodie, sunglasses, and sporting a mustache. The police create a sketch and post it all around the country. The bombings immediately stop, and for 5 years, nobody hears anything from the Unabomber. All kinds of people call him with
Well,
tips,
yeah,
but the leads
that
go
makes
nowhere.
sense.
The case pretty much goes cold.
Yeah, they trying to
But the
get
FBI
that
know that it's
reward.
only a matter of time before he'll strike again. They're sure he's using the time to perfect his bombs,
Of course.
and they're right. In his cabin, Ted is finessing his technique.
Nah, dude is
The upcoming
evil.
bombs will be a whole lot more lethal. But
I want to know,
as the
did he
world
have a
will soon-
certain target of people he was going for, or was it random? I believe it was random. And he just started. I believe it was a certain people that he was going for, and then it turned into just random people and just loving to see the news of who passed, which is
By now,
actually the same.
he is also busy writing. He doesn't just want his explosives to do the talking. He's crafting a manifesto, one that claims to explain what the mysterious string of bombings is all about.
Oh, facts. He just want everybody out of there. Crazy.
The technophiles are taking us all on an utterly reckless ride into the unknown. Back at Harvard in 1958, the United States is experiencing huge shifts in culture. The button-up 50s are drawing to a close, and the nation becomes swept up in the space race, the civil rights movement, the sexual revolution, the environmental movement, the explosion of drug
Yeah,
culture,
there's a lot.
and all the
a
while,
lot going on
the
around
Cold
that
War is
time.
escalating. The American military is paranoid that communists have developed mind control drugs and brainwashing techniques, and they're eager to catch up.
But, hold on, who?
That communists, all the while, mind control drugs escalating. The American military is paranoid that communists have developed mind control drugs and
Oh.
brainwashing techniques, and they're eager
Somebody
to
has
catch up.
that.
So they're covertly experimenting with ways to manipulate behavior. U.S.
Yeah,
intelligence
they-
officials are especially interested in developing a perfect truth drug for
Yeah.
interrogating enemies, and they believe
A
LSD.
truth serum. I heard about this. It makes a lot of sense. Drug someone so they can tell the whole truth. I believe they do this to some people. Like, still to this day. And just like how they manipulate some people, I believe they have a way to get people to tell the truth. But it's only for people that done crazy crimes, I believe. Like real serious crimes.
Might be it. But they're also testing a wide range of ways that psychological manipulation could bend the will of anyone to do whatever the U.S. military wants. They've even enlisted help from the Nazi scientists who experimented on Dachau inmates with hallucinogens and interrogation methods. The military illegally smuggles these war
And they use all they use all prisoners because, especially those people that's doing lifetime sentences, after 10 years, people stop coming to visit. After 5 years, people probably start coming to visit, especially if they did a terrible crime. Yeah, they all subjects.
criminals over to get their advice on brainwashing.
It's sad,
as
but
part of Operation Paperclip.
something they gotta do.
Over the course of at least 11
Figure out their
years,
experiments.
thousands of Americans are subjected to unethical psychological experiments that include sensory deprivation, hallucinogenic drugs dosed without consent, subliminal messaging, hypnosis.
Yo, that is so crazy how they're intentionally torturing them, because if they're doing it without their consent, they're torturing them to figure out what works on someone taking advantage of them. That's crazy.
And even ice pick lobotomies. And that's just the stuff we know about. When the project becomes public knowledge in the 1970s, the CIA director orders most of the records to be destroyed. The program is
Kinda
called
hide everything.
MK-Ultra. Many of the test subjects are vulnerable populations, like prisoners and hospital inmates, but also students. Students are prime subjects for these experiments because of their frequent contact with professors who play a big part in MK-Ultra. Some of the professors know the role they play. Many don't. During the post-war period, the CIA becomes the largest employer of college professors, and the military is by far the biggest source of funding for psychological research. Professors acted as consultants and researchers for military-backed projects. They used their status to encourage their students to participate in experiments, often involving drugs like LSD. Afterwards, they reported back to the government. Harvard becomes heavily involved in Army-sponsored studies. One of the CIA's main men on campus is the superstar psych professor, Henry Murray. Murray is well known for his studies of personality, and since the CIA's beginnings, his theories have influenced how they recruit new agents and how they interrogate suspects. When Murray and young Ted Kaczynski cross paths, Murray is at the end of his career, and he recruits Ted for his final, most elaborate experiments. They're meant to assess the effects of stress and harsh interrogation on gifted male students. Murray wants to know, what will it take to break an educated,
He's taking geniuses, and that's actually crazy. He's taking geniuses and experimenting on them, like top students. That's actually crazy. People in this world would do anything just to take an advantage of someone or to just learn something, which is actually crazy. I don't think that he will be able to find as many people if he didn't manipulate, but that's just crazy. People just try to experiment to do better.
Man. The setup is simple. Ted and 21 other students are asked to write an essay about their most deep-seated beliefs. Then they're told they'll discuss their beliefs with a fellow undergrad. The experiment aims to compare the effects of stress on college men who seem psychologically healthy and well-adjusted, with students who seem alienated, pessimistic, and lacking in identity. Ted is most likely recruited for the second group because he's showing signs of depression.
Yeah.
Ted's personal essay stands out as the most pessimistic of them all. It suggests that he was already vulnerable before the abusive test began. He is also the youngest and the poorest in the group. The students are told this exercise is just to study different personalities. In truth, now the real experiment begins.
Yo, this is crazy.
The essays are handed to lawyers trained in manipulation, who are instructed to attack the values expressed in them. The students endure harsh interrogations in brightly lit rooms. They face calculated personal critiques designed to humiliate and erode their sense of self. All the while, electrodes monitor their stress responses. Later, they have to watch these stressful and humiliating moments on video, over and over again, for 3 years.
What?
As Murray himself describes it, the tests were designed to be abusive. He's had a lifelong fascination with pain and stress and is known to have a sadistic streak. Plenty of participants will later report the experience to be deeply unpleasant, with lasting trauma.
I mean,
But
you're
Ted's
watching.
responses
You're
are the
watching
most extreme in every
what?
category.
For
Murray's
3
team
years?
identifies him as the most traumatized of all.
Especially like you're going through the depression, then you having someone telling you what's wrong with you and making you feel bad about yourself, and then you have to rewatch that over and over, and that is insane. There's no way. I wonder what happened to everyone that was involved with that, especially if they found people that did. Wow, that's literally psychologically fucking them up. It's insane.
Yes, Ted Kaczynski got MK Ultra'd. You can read all about it at CIA.gov.
That's crazy.
In consequence, many claim the CIA created the Unabomber, but that's an oversimplification. It's not so easy to prove how much effect the experiments had on Ted's turn to terrorism.
They definitely created him. I don't believe he would have been the same person if they didn't go through the experiments with him I don't believe he would have been the same person. They definitely created him. Because I believe he probably would have been sad and probably he would have done some other bad things, especially if he was getting bullied. But not as bad as putting explosive in front of people's houses.
None of the other students in the experiment are known to have become killers. Some psychologists believe the experiments were stressful enough to create anger problems in Ted, or even aggravate latent schizophrenia. But other psychologists evaluate him as undeniably sane. Ted himself dismissed the idea that the tests were anything resembling psychological torture. He was very invested in being seen as psychologically healthy until the bitter end. He's taking great pains to not be painted as damaged or crazy. He wanted his murders to be understood in the context of his beliefs, not his personal history. If people saw his actions as a result of trauma or madness, it would invalidate his ideas. Ideas that formed his last year at Harvard. Ted becomes increasingly disillusioned with the industrial technological system. He comes to believe that technology is slowly destroying humanity and eroding our freedom.
That is true.
He's horrified by widespread psychological suffering and how industrial technology has severely damaged the planet. He's certain that it'll only get worse the more technology develops. So anyone who helps
that's because of how technology is, and it makes us so lazy to even get up and do certain activities, it's going to destroy us. How many things, I believe the biggest reason, especially why adults have a terrible reading, they have a terrible grade level reading, is because of technology. Technology makes it easy to type, to spell, to figure out even other languages and how to translate. It makes people lazy to do anything, especially with especially the chat GPT. Every chat box AI, it gives you, especially when you're like, say you're trying to learn how to cook something, you can easily look online and cook something instead of actually studying the ingredients to learn how to make and season something. I can learn how to cook rice, even though that's a simple task because it's not that hard to do. But think about it. People used to have to read and study and experiment to learn how to cook, to make other things. Like, the technology has made us lazy. And I mean, I'm a product of it. And I use it all. I ain't gonna lie to you.
advanced
I
technology
ain't
and
about
web
to read a whole goddamn book to figure out how to cook rice. What the fuck I look like?
is the enemy. Scientists, engineers, business people, what Ted calls the technician class.
What? I'm lazy as
Ted
fuck.
starts having revenge fantasies and becomes
that
obsessed
regard,
with how society enforces
in that regard
obedience.
of learning how to do something and learning how to do it quickly, I'm lazy as fuck. What? I'm learning how to make and season and everything I know that I love to eat. I'm looking it up on YouTube using ChatGPT. I'm sorry. I ain't about to be there and me not use it. I'm about to be behind because I want to be in the 1980s and figure out everything. I will learn it in ChatGPT and learn my information from there.
With psychological controls. He
That's
daydreams
why
about
universal
breaking away
things
from
matter.
society
Yeah, not
and
definitely.
living off the grid. Ted graduates Harvard and goes on to get his PhD in math at the University of Michigan. He's quickly
See, the
establishing
problem, you know
himself
damn
as a
well you
brilliant
use it too.
mathematician
Don't
and is
even
offered
do
a
that.
tenure-track position at UC Berkeley as their
You know
youngest
you looked up a
professor
recipe
ever.
online.
His students don't like him very much, but he's publishing groundbreaking papers on boundary functions.
You show me your cookbook.
But Ted resigns one day
That's what I want
without
to see.
warning.
I want to see your cookbook.
He tells his family that he's done with teaching math to future engineers who will advance the industrial technological system and continue destroying the planet. Ted buys a bit of land near Lincoln, Montana, and builds a cabin with his brother. He's ready to escape the advanced technology that surrounded him at UC Berkeley. He wants to live a simpler life, far away from
Come on, lock
everyone
in.
he's ever known. And then, he starts to build his first bomb.
He built a shed in the woods. I mean, you have to.
Through our bombings, we hope to promote social instability. In industrial society, propagate anti-industrial ideas, and give encouragement to those who hate the industrial system. In 1993, the Unabomber strikes twice after a 6-year hiatus. Two prominent researchers, a computer scientist and a geneticist, receive packages the size of a VHS tape. The bombs detonate upon opening.
Oh my
Professors are
gosh.
badly injured. Shortly after, the New York Times receives a typewritten letter. It claims credit for the bombs and says the public should expect more to come. In 1994,
That's smart not to do in your handwriting, because it's so crazy how people are able to dissect your way of writing. I don't believe. Yeah, typing it out is way easier. It's less likely for them to figure out who it is. And then having your own typewriter in that time was so common. Now, if you do that now, I ain't gonna lie, they gonna catch you. And then especially with printing out, and I believe you can get caught by printing something out. Honestly.
1995, the Unabomber succeeds in killing 2 people with his mail
So you
bombs,
gotta do everything
an
with a
advertising
typewriter.
executive and a forestry
Never get
lobbyist.
caught.
As feared, his explosives have become notably more sophisticated. Bombings are usually accompanied with demands for money or some kind of action. What made the Unabomber so difficult to understand and to find is that his bombs never came with any requests.
Yeah.
They seem to be built only to cause fear, injury, and death.
What was his bonds?
They seem to be built only to cause fear.
Tennessee, Washington, California, Michigan, Illinois. Wow.
Injury, and death. 17 years after starting his bombing spree, the Unabomber finally makes his demands known. He writes the New York Times again, announces that he will permanently desist from terrorist activities if they publish a 56-page manifesto. The request kicks off a fierce debate within the FBI and the newspaper, to publish or not to publish.
Cutting it close.
The FBI has a
you
clear
was-
policy to
was you
not
born?
negotiate
I don't think you was born yet.
terrorists,
Oh,
but
yeah,
they
'cause
also
it said
believe
after
he'll
that.
honor his promise and stop killing people. After all, this is what the bombs were seemingly for,
I hope your family
to
wasn't
force
a
people to
professor.
pay attention to his views.
Which was
Plus-
1990. Let me stop lying.
They still lack leads. If the public reads the manifesto, someone might be able to identify the Unabomber. So the manifesto is published. The FBI decides it should just be the Washington Post, though, because it has fewer readers, and the newspaper's stands will be easier
Yeah,
to
Washington
surveil.
Post. Yeah, I don't think
So
nobody
they
reads
think.
them now. Back then,
Interest in the
everybody
Unabomber
needed it.
is huge. Newspaper sales hit a record high that day, with lines snaking around the block.
Damn right.
Across the
2000 right on
country,
dot.
Americans are eager to finally read what the Unabomber has to say.
Yeah,
The
I know
manifesto
everybody
opens
was
with an
looking at it
iconic line.
and trying to find a
The
paper.
Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. And though the manifesto is an argument that calls for dismantling industrial society, it's also, unwittingly, a self-portrait. Within its pages, the Unabomber has accidentally unmasked himself.
By giving that much of a description.
David and Ted, though
Wow,
7 years
that's-
apart
that's
and very
insane.
different, grew up close and loved each other very much. As adults, they had impassioned philosophical debates by mail and shared a lot of the same views. David also worried about technology's destructive effect on humanity. He'd also spent some time living off the grid in a self-made cabin. But David wasn't a killer.
Wait, some builders, Bob
When the
builders,
manifesto
ain't
is
they?
published, he hasn't spoken to his brother in a long time. Ted cut him out when David got married and refused to answer any of his letters. David's wife Linda, a philosophy professor, has a funny feeling about Ted, whom she never met. As the bombings stack up and some of the timings coincide with Ted's travels, Linda tells David, "You've got a screwy brother. Maybe he's the Unabomber." David doesn't want to
What
hear it.
makes you say that? Especially even if the letters that he's sending and where he's traveling do coexist. What makes you say that? The Unabomber had to be real popular, but what, like, especially you never met him. You only seen what or heard what your husband has been talking about her brother. Women's intuition. Don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear none of that.
Linda doesn't know Ted the way David does. He'd never kill anybody.
That's
As
actually
a kid,
insane.
Ted used to cry at the thought of animals getting hurt. But when the manifesto is finally published, David avoids reading it. He doesn't want to admit the similarities. That, like the
and the
Unabomber,
conversations that
Ted
they
is
have.
an excellent carpenter.
That does make sense with the conversation that they have with each other and how he doesn't see them. He sees them from letters that they can have the same. Wow. That's crazy.
And that he had a lifelong fascination
can't talk
with
to nobody.
explosives, and that some of the
Even
dates
with the people
match
that
up
you love.
perfectly with Ted's travels. David only reads it when Linda
Yeah,
insists.
patterns.
His jaw literally drops from the first few lines.
Yeah.
The killer, like Ted, also hates technology.
Yeah.
As it continues, David recognizes idiosyncratic word choices and logical
Yeah,
arguments.
that's the thing. You cannot talk to nobody. If you do this, you have to do this dolo. And it's the fact is he's doing the crime solo, but he's engaging with other people. Oh, like, yeah, especially if you're talking to someone. Say you're writing letters to someone and then you read the bombers and being like, whoa, hold on, this is the same, what? And just figuring that out, it has to be so, your heart just sink right to your, oh my gosh. That's insane.
Arguments that Ted uses all the time.
Yeah, all this, yeah, using the same
There's no
language.
escaping the truth. Ted is the Unabomber. So after some moral qualms about betraying his brother, David alerts the FBI.
I don't even know what I would do.
They are bound to make me out to be a sickie.
Like, what would you do if you was the brother? I mean, the best thing to do is to call the FBI and give out the evidence and give that your brother is making these explosives that are wiping out families, in a sense. Because you don't know how many people or who that is opening these packages based off of the address. You don't know who's opening it.
To describe to me motives of a sordid or sick type. Many tame conformist types seem to have a powerful need to depict the enemy of society as sordid, repulsive, or sick. Lincoln, Montana, April 1996. With the tip from David, the feds are staking out Ted's cabin. The investigation is meant to be conducted quietly, but they're interviewing local townspeople, trying to collect more evidence on Ted. Right now, all they have is the linguistic similarities in the manifesto and old letters from Ted that David gave the FBI. Not exactly cold, hard proof. Enough for a search warrant, but not an arrest. Rumors start to spread around town that Ted Kaczynski, their very own angry hermit, is the Unabomber. The plan is to draw Ted out of his cabin and get inside before he can escape or destroy any evidence. But they don't know if he has it tricked out with explosives.
Yeah,
nobody would be surprised.
I wouldn't even go in there.
Ted has
Especially
no
how
idea
smart
he's
he
under
is.
surveillance.
Especially how smart he is. I wouldn't go in there. I look out. Have my. The thing is, he can have set booby traps around there. I wouldn't go. I'm at my office desk, sitting down. I'm not opening up no packages from this. No.
So when someone knocks and says some land surveyors need to talk, he believes them and opens the door. He wasn't expecting visitors. These days, he's busy with a dirty job. He's in the middle of rasping aluminum blocks to make powder for more bombs. He's covered from head to toe in the dust. That's actually smart. Rabbit hunting was scarce this season. Ted's hair is wild and his clothes are literally rotting off of his body. But what does he care? He's not trying to impress anyone, and he can clean up fast if he needs to blend into society. Too bad for Ted. He'll be photographed in this state. Filthy.
That's what he looks like? Dang. He was at least 50. Late 40s, early 50s. Maybe late 50s, early 60s. One of those. That's great. I mean, I guess he didn't care what it looked like.
Need of a shave. The image will circulate around the globe and will not help Ted's desire to seem sane. When the feds swoop in, they find 40,000 pages of journals and plans, most written in code. The code is more complex than anything the FBI had ever seen, more convoluted than codes the KGB used during the Cold War. But Ted also left the key to the code in the cabin. Without it, the FBI wouldn't be able to decipher the decades of written confessions that definitively tied Ted to the bombings. They also find a bomb.
You're lying. Hold on. I wasn't locked in when he said that.
With
just a normal, like, looking white man. His codes meant something. Whoa. I feel bad whoever had to go. Actually, not, because some people love going through things like this with just learning how to put together puzzles, and some people love doing this. Me, I would have been mad as shit. I would have been so mad trying to look up 87, and then me, I ain't gonna lie, I would get so many letters mixed up. I would have to underline them. I'm sorry, I'm messing up the details of the paper. I'm not putting this in the evidence. It's probably getting. Yo.
The FBI wouldn't be able to decipher the decades of written confessions that definitively tied Ted to the bombings. They also find a bomb under the bed, ready to be mailed to an aerospace company in Dallas. Now the FBI has all the evidence they need. They lock up the cabin and take Ted to prison. He does not dispute that the journals with the confessions are his. In fact, he wrote them partially so that nobody would try to say he was crazy. Ted's family and his defense team attempt to convince the jury and the
crazy.
world at large that he is mentally ill.
Why would you want to block out your face? Aren't you the person who captured him? No, I couldn't go in that hut.
They're
He'd
doing anything they can to avoid the death penalty, which frustrates him. He tries to fire his lawyers and defend himself. He would rather die than allow his lawyers to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. Ted pleads guilty to his crimes and is sentenced to life in prison.
He owned up all this.
Behind bars, he never stops writing. He publishes 2 books and keeps up a lively correspondence with a wide array of journalists and admirers.
I want to know how do inmates publish books? And I want to know how do they sell, and then who receives the money that they potentially get from selling books? Because I mean, well, actually, now they can have people on the outside, but someone like him, how did he publish books? I feel like you still probably have the same rights, just having the rights to be able to, yeah. And they of course look over it. So, okay.
He also finally makes some human connections.
A publisher.
He strikes up a friendship with
but
Timothy
who
McVeigh,
would help
the
him
Oklahoma City bomber
I guess
who killed
because
168 people in 1995. Ted and McVeigh are briefly on the same prison block and find they have a lot of views in common before McVeigh is carted off to death row.
That's crazy.
Ted even finds love for the first time in his life. After a lifetime of struggling to connect with women, never going beyond a few kisses, Ted suddenly has dozens of women writing him romantic or salacious letters.
I would never understand that. And you talking about women intuition. Why do women lust over killers? Some women love writing to a bunny. People are sick. Like, I would never. It's just with all the killers and serial killers. It's lonely as. It's just as bad as lonely ass men in this world. It's some lonely ass. That's crazy. Because what makes you want to write a love letter to a killer? Yeah, that's how they begin y'all with movies and stuff like that. They throw a fine hottie and just serial killer and y'all love them. Like, what?
But only one captures his heart, a school teacher he calls his lady love. They spend thousands of hours talking by mail or in visiting booths,
fantasy,
but they are never
like
able to touch. He writes classical music for her.
I don't hear it as often.
Later, Ted also develops cancer. When the condition becomes advanced, he dies by suicide in June 2023 at 81 years old.
He still lived a long life though. 81.
This is not to be a political revolution. Its object will be to overthrow not governments, but the economic and technological basis of the present society. In the decades since his arrest, Ted Kaczynski continues to fascinate and sometimes inspire. The manifesto's central argument
That's another
is
thing
that
too. It's
technological
copycats.
advancements since the Industrial Revolution have robbed people of their freedom and well-being.
Did he?
These advancements are supposedly responsible for widespread psychological suffering and environmental devastation. It's a revolutionary call to dismantle industrial society altogether and warns that technology will inevitably overpower human autonomy.
Hold on.
Many of Kaczynski's observations in the manifesto are true. Some of his predictions are prescient, and a lot of the grievances are understandable.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find people who are also frustrated with surveillance or sad about environmental destruction. At the time of his capture, Time magazine wrote, "There's a little bit of the Unabomber in most of us." Nowadays, Ted Kaczynski continues to find admirers online, from teens on TikTok, depressed about climate change, half-ironically saluting Uncle Ted, to the extreme right mass murderer, Anders Breivik.
Yo, the fact that it could be potentially be a Unabomber in the 2026 is actually insane. Just to even think about that, like, yo. And there's so many times where I've seen, especially in like Dexter. I watch Dexter. I love to watch, in a sense, serial killers' minds, because people love to just copy, and it's people with crazy mindsets and will just love to copy, just to look up to a certain person that did so much success and harm that they would love to copy that and be that person and just have that much. It's insane.
Heavily quoted Kaczynski's Industrial Society in his own manifesto. But even if most people can find parts of the manifesto they agree with, most people are not willing to kill. Kaczynski knew that most people would be repelled by his crimes, but committed them anyway. Those who find the ideas compelling might want to check out Jacques Ellul, the thinker whose ideas most inspired the manifesto.
I wonder who studied him.
The philosopher never advocated killing. They also should check out Ted Kaczynski's diaries.
Zodiac Killer.
They lay bare the personal motivations that drove the Unabomber, beyond the manifesto that was polished for public consumption. Technological society really did seem to anger Ted, but Ted was also very, very angry, in general. In his diary, Ted Kaczynski writes that he was happy to kill innocent civilians. He took pleasure in causing people pain. He killed at least 9 dogs just because they barked too loud. He hated leftists. He hated doctors. He hated women. He fantasized about killing them just for rejecting him. He fantasized about killing his
What? He thought about killing him just for getting rejected? That boy was... Yo, he was hating. Hold on. Killing dogs because he was barking too loud. Killing scientists, biologists. Yo.
9 dogs just because they barked too loud. He hated leftists. He hated doctors.
Hated leftists? People who left hands he hate. Oh my god. He just hated people that didn't like him. Or just wasn't like him. That is saying, yeah, he's definitely a loser.
He hated women. He fantasized about killing them just for rejecting him. He fantasized about killing his neighbors just because they annoyed him.
What? If you got on his nerves, he just shoot it over there. Oh my god. That's crazy.
Toddler.
Hey, it's a package right here. Yeah, this yours? Open it up. Boom! Just because, oh, hey, you need to cut your grass. Grass getting a little too hot, buddy. Yeah, okay, sir. Hey, I got something for you.
Condemned technology as slavery and glorified simpler times that ran on. Actual.
Oh, I don't know what a left is. Oh, what is that? I don't know. I don't know what that is. I thought it was just left-handed people. Honestly, I just took it off of what it sounded like.
Slavery. Kaczynski wasn't even much of an environmentalist. He made fun of them in his diaries. He littered proudly. He poached illegally. He logged unprotected lands. You might get the sense that he only used environmentalism as a post hoc justification for his murders. A cynic who identified ecological concerns as the most acceptable excuse for killing.
W video, affirm. That's actually crazy. So, I mean, technically the only reason why he got caught was because of his brother. I mean, W brother. Social equality, etc. Oh, okay. Okay. That's actually crazy. Movie playlist. Yeah, that's actually crazy. We got time for one more video. I'm watching one more video. I believe that stream is an hour and 17 minutes. So let's see. So these are our options right now. The Pawn Stars one is really, I believe. I used to watch Pawn Stars, and then the other ones are basically like this video, but just have different topics. What we picking? You got 1 through 7. How cops rob the dark web king. How it feels to live in the prehistoric area. The different topics one. What number is that? What number? You see the numbers beside it? Which one? Greatest hacks in history. You can't see that? What are you talking about? Just go in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7. Head ass. Yeah, let's see. These videos are hard. I'm gonna watch this probably offline, something like that, while I'm trying to upload. Lame. I might just pick. You taking too forever. Pawn Stars. I feel like this probably the most. This one.
Pawn Stars is the fakest reality show in history.
I ain't gonna lie, I used to watch this show and just be like, wow. I see a lot of clips now, especially on TikToks. But yeah, Pawn Stars is the fakest TV show. Fakest show on TV. Here's the evidence. But, nah. I definitely used to watch the show. I see a
Somehow
lot
they
of clips on
tricked
it now,
millions
too.
of Americans into watching 700 episodes over the past 15 years. Fake customers, fake conversations, a fake store, fake items.
I believe sometimes you have to be fake, especially in a TV show, to make it entertaining. I mean, that's what a lot of people do, especially with content, especially with, I believe it was 2017, 2018, when people was just doing pranks and fake pranks. I mean, that was something that was hot. And I understand people why they did it. Fake pranks was hilarious. I watched them. I didn't watch a lot of it. It was only certain people that I watched. But if it was fake, I ain't gonna lie. The reaction was funny. It was hilarious. But that's the point and the reason of entertainment. To make someone feel an emotion that engages them to watch the show. So, I mean, it was fake, but
80 experts with suspicious
it was an entertaining
backgrounds
show.
to verify the value.
To have that many seasons in a show alone makes it the Rebo people with cars. That's what I'm saying. I used to watch South Beach Toe. That show was hilarious, and then I believe now, especially back then, I was watching it. I was probably 9, 10, 11. That show was hilarious. The fights was hilarious. Like it had. I believe. I thought it was real. Because of how young I was, but now I'm like, that show was fake as hell, but it was hilarious. Now I watched it every week.
Of those items, even the image of the Harrisons being a humble, hard-working, blue-collar family
but if
is
saying it's not
fake.
But if you're a person that's saying that it's true and stuff like that, I would just leave it up. I wouldn't say it was or it wasn't true. I would just throw it into speculation. Like, you believe what you want. But if you're telling somebody that it's real, then it's kind of lame.
Essentially, an extremely calculated and systematic distraction to prevent the sellers from realizing they were being borderline scammed. And in this video, we are going to expose it step by step. However, this system was built out of desperation, because the cast we now know today was actually so unlikable in real life that nobody initially wanted to work with them. The show's producer, Brent Montgomery, recalls the first time meeting them. I walked out of the pawn shop and I said, I never want to go there again. These guys smoked. They were saying the same jokes over and over. I was actually the 4th producer to work with them, and so I certainly didn't think that was going to be a hit show. Additionally, I
believe you get a big hit, especially if you have a successful show. A lot of people get big hits and don't know how to move because you change over time. I believe with anybody that has a platform that people come in constantly to take pictures or to talk to them or just try to get anything out of them, you change because that's not something that you normally would get into, and then a lot of people get big hits from.
Shops are not exactly a secret gold mine of treasure and rare artifacts. Most shops mainly make their money through loans given to extremely desperate people. Yeah. Sellers will offer the pawn shop their lawnmowers, blenders, TVs, firearms, anything with a little bit of value. Yeah. Then the shop gives them 25 to 60% of the item's resale value in cash, and the seller only has 30 or 60 days to buy the item back with interest. The average pawn shop loan value is $75 to $100, meaning these people are likely next to broke, struggling to keep a roof over their head, or withdrawing from hard drugs. Rick Harrison, the main character and owner of Gold and Silver Pawn in Las Vegas, said, I think it's 20% of the adult population in the United States that does not have a bank account, and most of them can't get one. They don't have credit cards, they don't have anything like that for when some small emergency pops up. A lot of people don't realize that up until the 1950s, pawn shops were the #1 form of customer credit in the United States.
What? When do you think this show was made? It had to be made in the 1990s. And then I believe I think in the early 2000s it was made.
So it's safe to say a show about struggling Americans giving away their possessions for $100 out of desperation isn't exactly the most entertaining idea, which is why their pilot episode was shot down by every major network.
You can't give me 2?
No. No. I can do 120.
Crazy.
It's the best I can do.
Yeah,
I'll pawn it for that.
One time, a guy bought a bunch of stuff at Walmart on his credit card. He brought it in here. His grandmother was in the hospital, and she didn't have insurance. I pawned him for him, and then he went out and he stayed up all night. He won $50,000 and came back.
Damn.
got the TVs back, took them back to Walmart.
So if the pawn shop employees
That's
were
crazy.
unlikable and the day-to-day business of pawn shops is low-key depressing, the show is dead in the water, right? Well, Rick Harrison was not willing to give up on the idea of him getting his own TV show.
You know, I have a pawn shop on the strip. You know what I mean? Like, I was always like a media, because that was like free advertising. So I'd always I'd put my it was the only 24-hour pawn shop on the strip in Las Vegas.
24-hour pawn shop.
So I mean, so
This is
before you know it, I'm
insane.
getting Super Bowl rings, things like that. So I used to put I put my Super Bowl rings on this on eBay like a week before the Super Bowl. Like, so
That's
then
smart.
a bunch of reporters, radio stations and things like that would call me, and it was always free press. And it was always good for business. So like 20 years ago, I'm thinking like, hey, if I get one of these reality shows, get a season or two, it might be good for business. Yeah.
Ironically, the way Rick and Brent
I
got
know
the
they
reality
was
show,
scamming real people. If they ever went to their shop, they was scamming, because especially how popular you are, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
was by completely distorting the reality of the pawn shop. Basically, they sold a lie, and the History Channel bought it. In 2009, the History Channel was looking for something different to boost its ratings, which got Rick and Left Field Productions a second chance to share their idea. But to work with the History Channel, Rick agreed that the show had to be much more family-friendly than the original concept. It started with the characters, focusing on 3 generations of the Harrisons. Rick Harrison would sit at the center of the operation, often being referred to as the genius. He would be tasked with spotting fakes, explaining the history behind the items, and keeping the family in line.
Back in the day, the Mint was always coming up with new designs. They actually tried to get a nickel into circulation where there was a nickel, but it had a hole in the center, so everyone called it the Holy Nickel.
Rick's father, Richard Harrison, would take the name The Old Man. His role would be the no-nonsense patriarch of the gold and silver pawn shop. He comes in with stories about what the business was like back in the day, and constantly reminds the guys that he is the actual boss.
You don't turn that car into a lowrider.
It's his car. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Well, it shouldn't have been his car. It was my car. I'm so damn pissed I don't even want to talk to you.
To appeal to a younger demographic, Rick's son Corey, or Big Hoss, would work alongside his dad, learning everything he can about the business, only to constantly mess things up and make bad deals.
Test drive
You
it?
gotta have a fuck up.
No. What do you mean, no? No, I didn't test drive it. It's a Chris Craft. The thing's worth like 30 grand.
He doesn't spend that kind of money until he asks me first.
They also decided to include Corey's childhood friend, Austin Russell, or Chum Lee, who was essentially the comedic punching bag of the show.
Find me some good deals on that stuff then.
What kind of percentage am I gonna get?
Your salary.
I got no problem taking my salary as long as it walks through the doors, but if I'm putting in extra work...
Extra work? You don't work to start with.
But it wasn't the characters that made the show successful. Even the producers knew that. I think people love stuff. The items are the stars. Don't tell the stars that. People really remember when you bring in a Coke machine from the 60s and what it felt like to go to a Coke machine, and the great stories behind the stuff that you don't hear on other
I believe seeing old machines, old vending machines, old candy, claw machines, sports items, Pokemon cards. It's so many things that people are interested about, especially just seeing on a consistent basis old cars. I used to be like, whoa, like that is cool. Oh, I hope they buy this and just be interested.
Shows. On the show, people brought in gas masks for babies from 1938, ancient swords like katanas or Chris swords from the 14th
Look how cool that sword is. You would never see that sword. I probably never seen something like that until now because of the internet and how much stuff is popping on the internet, but you didn't see this back in 2013, 2012.
Century, helicopters, and ancient firearms used by naval officers and pirates. And despite literal treasure coming through the doors now that the cameras were rolling, the guys initially were so stuck in their ways that they refused to buy anything. Brent Montgomery told students at the University of Texas that this was one of the biggest hurdles. If you ever met those guys, I couldn't convince them to pay more for anything, but I did tell them initially to try and buy the stuff even if they didn't want it. If we had a show where they never bought anything, it wouldn't work well. This is likely what led to Rick's infamous lowball offers.
What were you looking to get out of it?
$7 grand?
Ooh, 7 grand's not gonna happen.
How about 3,500?
3 grand.
One time Rick low
7 grand to 3,500. God, that's a crazy jump. Cause you ask it what you want, but then he's like, oh no. But they will resell it for. He going buy it for 1,000 and try to resell it for 10,000, 11,000, 15,000, and says, "Oh, it's this vintage coin."
Balled someone so bad, even his son Corey called him out. It started when a seller brought in a pair of 18th century onyx diamond spectacles.
There's enough stones and precious metals in them to make them worth a lot of money.
The customer said he wanted $5,000 for the pair, but when Rick stepped in, he offered way less.
Generally, jewelry from this time period to this quality is worth a lot of money. Good. But
It's worth a lot of money. He asking for 1,000? Hold on, how much did he ask for? 5,000.
Customer said,
generally jewelry.
So what do you think they're worth?
$700 or $800.
Seriously?
$700-800, and you just said it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
The seller then adjusted his price per Rick's recommendation
$850?
$5,000 to $850, and even Corey knew they borderline ripped this guy off.
I feel a lot better about these now that my dad looked him over, but I think he might have lowballed a little bit.
And it's because of deals like this that Rick became a massive...
I have all... He said best I can do is $20. Hey, yo. Nah, they definitely lowballed the fuck out of him. And I bet you they bought that for, what, $850? They sell it for basically what he was asking for, $5K.
Meme online. However,
maybe
it was
more.
clear that Pawn Stars had found gold. Their season 2 premiere drew 7 million total viewers, which drove the History Channel to become the #1 cable network for the night in total viewers, making it the highest rated telecast in the network's history. But ratings like this weren't the result of dumb luck. They came from a calculated design. And once you look past the dumb jokes, the humble family business facade, you start to see something else. A very controlled, very repeatable formula designed to get the best deals possible from the sellers. So let's break it down. It all starts with the manufactured image of the cast, which is the Harrison family. The producers have been very open about the fact that they cast blue-collar looking people to trick honest blue-collar people into thinking these reality stars are one of them. I always say we're looking for really smart people who look really blue-collar. Those are the casts that we've had success with. It's like when they put the average looking guy with the really hot chick in the beer commercials, so you want to buy the beer so you can be as lucky as that guy. That's who we're looking to cast in our reality.
It's actually, they use those type of tactics to like influence people to buy their product, and it's so many like things that they do to lure people in is actually insane.
Shows. So now that Rick and his family look like the people their target audience can trust, now it's time to control the environment in which the transactions take place. What you see on screen is not the actual pawn shop, it's a TV set. By 2012, Gold and Silver Pawn had transformed from a small time...
And the funny thing is, I like their content of someone will randomly post someone buying a I think I watched somebody buy it was like the coins. It was like the coins that were stuck together. I seen somebody post that and it had over 100,000 to 500,000 views. It's entertaining to watch someone buy something that is never seen before, unique. See how much they buy it for. You don't ever see them sell anything. I don't think I ever recall them selling anything, but buying. See like all them figures of Luffy and the Pokemon art on the walls and autographs and like that. It's interesting because you don't see that on a regular basis. It's something that you don't see, that people have storage in a closet and don't show anybody. And seeing this on TV for the first time, you're like, whoa.
And pawn shop into a full-on tourist trap. The general manager revealed that about...
It's basically like a museum. If you have a lot of artifacts, that's basically what it is, a museum. You see all those in the museum. When I went to the African American History Museum, they had all things like, I mean, of course, it's more so Black history, but they have signed jerseys, gloves, old gloves. People have that in their closet. And it's like people paid to go see. I mean, well, actually, the museums out here are free, but people will pay numerous monies just to even see things like that.
1 in 100 visitors to the Las Vegas pawn shop are actually there to sell an item. Otherwise, the staff typically shuffles tourist visitors out of the showroom when it's time to film. In response to Nevada's privacy laws and the increased traffic...
I wouldn't be surprised if they paid people to come look at their art and wasn't selling or buying anything.
Harrisons couldn't continue to rely on their original shop. Instead, they worked with producers to make a separate showroom that was inaccessible to the general public. We got an inside look at this controlled environment when a seller secretly recorded his experience with a camera watch. Andrew Wilson uploaded a YouTube video detailing the process of him attempting to sell his vintage 1985 Rambo metal lunchbox. As he walked around, you can see the trusses above the fake shop with all the studio lights to ensure a perfectly lit set. From there, he went to an office in the backstage area where he met with a field producer who laid down some ground rules before they walked on set.
Okay, so this is when the lady comes in, sits you down, and says how things are going to go, what you can and can't do. And the biggest thing she says was you can't reference the show. You can't talk about that you're on a show. It's basically you're supposed to act like it's totally normal. You're not on a show.
That makes sense.
Andrew and his father openly admitted that the only reason they wanted to sell the lunchbox was so they could be on the show. But the field producer said that they can't do that, which meant they had to lie for television.
Would they actually say, maybe this is my dad's, and would they say, does he know you're selling it? Would they say something like that?
I mean, I don't know. I think you'd say, why are you selling it? Like, why are you selling it?
To get on stuff.
I know, you can't reference the show.
When he finally walked onto the showroom floor, Andrew noticed that all the customers were just extras, pretending to be paying customers, looking at all the items in the background. And listening to him interact with Corey and Chum Lee is way different than what you see in the final product.
Take that. Yep, that's what they said.
I believe so. I believe any TV show that has to, because being honest, I don't think pawn shop shows are interesting, unless, and they're, I think they're all fake. I mean, of course, if they're real pawn shops, that you can actually buy them, but everything in the show is usually fake. Everything is usually scripted. You have to make something entertaining. You can even think about the show All American. If you know what All American ever mean, that show, they didn't expect that to go that long, and for it to give that much audience, they probably wrote maybe 3 seasons, 2 seasons. I would say 2 seasons max. The reason why they're still going is because of how much people are watching the shows, and how much people are like, I want to pay this subscription to watch All American. Brother and sister, all that stuff is scripted. I mean, I feel like some of the 600-pound life, I feel like that's just interesting in general, just to see someone lose that much weight, or just to see how that person eat that much food, or like I said, South Beach tow, or just somebody getting a car tow, but all that's fake, because it's a lot of the times people are not making those reactions or doing. It's happening. It does happen in the real world, but a lot of times it's fake. But it's entertaining. I'm watching it.
How you doing?
If it's fake and entertaining, I'm gonna watch it.
I have a Rambo lunchbox, original from 1985.
Rambo, that's awesome.
The matching thermos. Here, I'll show it to you.
It reminds me of myself.
That doctor's really famous,
Yeah, same here.
So where in the
Why
world
you
did
say
you
that?
get this?
From my dad.
Do you mind to go pull this out?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
He's playing this, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
He gave it to me. He was a huge
This was what, 2018, and he's recording on his watch. They just started having meta glasses. That's crazy. I know they definitely had spyware and cameras and stuff like that, but that's crazy. You can really like record on a watch.
Rambo fan, huge Sylvester Stallone
Imagine
fan.
he got the glasses.
He bought it back in '85, and he's had it ever since.
Nah, he definitely was. Hey, that doctor. Oh yeah. That on 600-pound life, that doctor was not. He was keeping it 100. He was not lying to the people. He said, "You are big. You're still eating. Stop playing around. Get your shit together now, or you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You keep eating like that, you're gonna die." I'm like, bro, he was real. I fuck with him. He was hilarious.
Okay. Definitely.
I mean, he was keeping it real with him. You 600. You 700, 800 pounds. I don't think nobody was ever under 600 because it's my 600-pound life. But you're that heavy. Yo, the funniest thing I keep seeing on my feed is the pizza box one. They bought 12 pizza boxes. It was 2 people bought 12 pizza boxes. Came back home with 6. How do you eat 6 pizza boxes on the way home from picking up pizzas to bring it to more big people? I'm like, yo. I be seeing people, like, some people's eating this soda. I seen this one TikTok. It was this one dude. He said he was 500 some pounds. The dude said, it threw me off. He said, while I was shopping for snacks, I ate snacks while I was shopping for snacks. I said, what? And he showed it. He bought Twinkies, chips. No, he didn't buy it. He said he stole it, allegedly. But I was like, yo, that's crazy. He picked up Pringles, candy, chips, ice cream, and ate that while he was shopping for snacks to take home. He ate over. I'm like, yo, there's no way you're shopping for. I was never the person to open a bag of chips while I was shopping, because I just never understood that. And I'm like, I'm gonna eat them when I get home. Like, even if I am going to eat a small bag of chips when I get home, I'm not gonna eat it until I get home and get comfortable. And when my parents did that when I was younger, I ate the chips, but I kind of like was thrown off by it. But yeah, I never, like, just seeing how big people get with the meals that they eat, it's insane. But when they lose the weight, it's interesting too. I follow a dude that's actually watching. I do it sometimes with a drink. I mean, that's more reasonable, because I do that with water sometimes. If I'm really thirsty and I want something to drink, I do that with a water. Usually I get the water checking out, so it usually. But I usually wait until I purchase the item before I start eating. I just never thought. But he said I used to steal, allegedly, all this snacks. I'm like, bro, he stole like maybe $30 worth of snacks and just ate them in the store and then bought snacks to take home.
I can't imagine sending my kid to school today with a lunchbox of a Vietnam vet who had severe PTSD and killed a couple cops and basically took a town hostage.
The awkward silence and bad jokes makes you realize just how much editing goes into this show.
Yeah.
You can even hear the producers giving notes to Corey on what he should talk about.
Yeah, everything is scripted. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with this, honestly.
You know, back then too, lunchboxes were kind of like your expression of who you were as a kid.
Nah,
The
facts.
awkwardness
I don't
and the
think I ever had a
stiffness of
lunch.
the interactions is
I
almost...
always had hot lunch. Majority of the time, I ain't gonna lie. My dad used to we used to get free lunch, but my dad used to take so long because of the first day of school they gave you so much paper to fill out, and he would never want to fill out until like 3 weeks later. And the first 3 weeks I gotta fucking bring lunch from home, and it was always some bullshit. I used to be mad as shit. But yeah, I never used to bring lunches. Actually, the only thing I did that was my second grade, third grade and third grade year. I brought lunches every day. She was like that. I used to fuck all my snacks up.
Completely gone once you see the final edit.
At one point, Steve McQueen was going to play Rambo, Paul Newman was going to play Rambo, and then out of nowhere, Stallone writes, directs, pays for, and produces Rocky.
Yeah, all the stuff they're saying, like Corey and Shumley are acting like, yeah, they did this, and it's like, you don't actually know these things. You looked this up 5 minutes before we came out here. It's supposed to look like I just walk in and it's natural and everything, and for those of you who don't already know, it's not like that.
I mean, it's entertainment.
This is done in multiple takes, and they
I don't see it as being fake show. I mean,
and in case you needed any more proof of how contrived these interactions really are, the producer Brent Montgomery admitted that the guys are not exactly the experts in history they are portrayed.
This dog is ugly. What the fuck? He looked like he just lost.
To be, saying, "We found really smart scripters to feed the characters organic information." Now, in this particular instance, Andrew just wanted to be on the show. He didn't really care about making a deal, but that's not the case for most sellers, nor is it for the Harrisons. After all, they do actually have a real pawn shop with full intentions to buy and sell items for a profit, which is why the next phase of their system is a calculated scheme to make sure that they get the best deal possible. Now, about half the time, Rick, Corey, Chumley, or the old man will pretend like they have extensive knowledge on whatever item is brought in front of them.
I'm 99.9% sure it's real. I still have that chance that it's not.
The seller puts the item on the counter, and one of the guys will go into a history lesson giving all the relevant details as to why the item is interesting or valuable.
Cool,
however, the other half of the time they will play dumb and admit that they know nothing about the item that is trying to be sold. But lucky for them, 100% of the time they have a buddy who specializes in the exact thing that they need more information.
I think a lot of those of just having that specific person to know what the item is, because a lot of times I see they'll come in the store and they'll like, oh, I want to sell this for $300. Oh, I'm gonna get this expert. They come back, oh, this is vintage. Oh, this is da da da. They ask for $300. Now the specialist say it's $3,000. Like, oh, that's usually the videos I see.
Information on.
I got a buddy who works right down the street. I got a buddy who deals in all these antiques. I got a buddy who works right down the street. He's got a sports shop. I got a buddy of mine. I call him in a lot when I deal with expensive sports stuff.
I got a buddy that's pretty good with stuff like this. Let me have him come down and kind of give me an idea of what they're worth.
Let me call somebody who will know everything about this. I got a buddy who all he does is like.
But all that's good content. Like you just having somebody on standby to come, even if it's fake, even if they did just research it, just having somebody to explain what I'm looking at, what kind of pistols it is. This is a Civil War pistol in the 1980s or 1800s, and just, oh, they only use this and carve them out. These are special pistols. I'm like, that's an interesting fact, because that's something I didn't know. So they're spewing facts while selling something for a certain price and being like, wow, they got a good deal. Wow, they got fucked. Most of the time, they got fucked.
I got a buddy that works literally right across
the street.
And this is the perfect trap. From the seller's perspective, that expert feels neutral. He looks authoritative. He explains the item's history, verifies if it's real, maybe even compliments it. But when they give the appraisal, they typically say something like, at auction, this might go for, followed by almost always a price that is far less than what the seller wanted. And now that the expert established the price, the seller now looks crazy for asking anything equal to or more than what they said. But even if the sellers remain firm in their initial asking price, Rick and the gang start talking about the risk, the overhead, paying employees, storage, the fact that it might sit on a shelf for months. Now the seller isn't negotiating based on what they think their item is worth, but rather they're negotiating based off if the buyer can make a profit or not.
I have to make money on this thing. I might get $4,000 out of it, but that's not an auction. There's auction fees. It'll take me a year to get my money.
I don't think I got I can't stream movies. If we do if we watch it just randomly, yeah, I'll watch the movie. But streaming it, nah, I don't think we could watch anything, especially on Twitch.
I gotta spend money to ship it across the country somewhere.
Putting that already as well.
Yeah, it's $2,100.
And this system, 80 to 90% of the time, leads to the pawn shop getting the seller to sell something to them for far less than what they originally thought it was worth. But in reality, these buddies aren't some objective third party walking in off the street, but rather someone coordinated by production who understands the show and who could get more opportunities to be on top.
More so you can watch replays, reruns, or some people talking about the movie. Like I could watch what do they call when they it's not a rewind. I mean, I guess it's like a rewind. A summary. You can watch summaries of movies. Like people talking about on YouTube, you can watch summaries of movies, but you can't watch the movie.
Vision if they excel at their job. Take Bob Uhas, for example, who is the expert they call on when they need to restore an automobile, antique toys, and vintage machines.
This is collectible because it's very rare. Done correctly, done nice, starting at $5,000 and up.
And like this,
you should be happy if you walked home with it for $800.
Not only is Bob an expert when it comes to bringing discarded items back to life, but he is also somewhat of an actor who was in a couple episodes of American Restoration and Mr.
I ain't lie, them the Storage Wars shit was fucking hilarious. Them niggas used to fight. They used to fight how much they used to bid for certain things and just finding and discovering certain things. That show was interesting. I didn't watch that as much as I watched South Beach Toe or I didn't really. I mean, I watched Pawn. I've watched this show, but I didn't really. I wasn't really heavy on it. It piqued my interest certain times, but I didn't really watch it that much. Storage Wars funny as shit. It was fake. I know it was fake. When I got older, I knew that shit. All that shit was fake. That shit was fucking hilarious.
A hidden camera show to gather evidence of theft.
Just as good as this, and not even better. I watched Storage Wars more than this.
Exactly a neutral third party. You can actually argue he is incentivized to give the Pawn Stars guys exactly what they want instead of maximizing the seller's potential payout. Especially considering that in the clip I played before, the seller got $850 and Bob got paid $2,600 to restore the go-kart. It just seems likely that if Bob does exactly what the producers want, want, he could get more screen time, which means more business for him. The private businesses owned by these experts or buddies benefit from the show so much, you'd almost assume that they have some sort of contract. And
I mean, at the end of the day, in this world, you gotta make money. So a lot of people gonna scam, a lot of people gonna tell lies, a lot of people gonna do this, and third. The dude, they literally just said he was there to promote, to basically get a profit off the show, and then also they brought in business for him. Who doesn't want more business to their shop? They always say any publicity is best for business, but I mean, it depends on what it is, though. I ain't gonna lie.
One of Rick's buddies may have accidentally leaked information we were never supposed to know. Sean Rich was one of the most well-known experts, appearing in over 50 episodes of Pawn Stars since it debuted in 2009. Sean is a master antique gunsmith, and he's usually called in when the guys need antique guns, swords, or other armory appraised. But when one fan noticed Sean disappeared and they had a few other gun experts on the show, they emailed him saying, "Why haven't we seen you on Pawn Stars recently? We miss you." Sean replied with, "Unfortunately, to make a very long story short, the production company and History Channel wanted me to sign an exclusivity agreement to lock me down, control me, my business, future, my appearance, how I make a living to provide for my family, and expect me to do it for free or very little money without any negotiation, with no guarantee of being used." Now, of course, Sean could be leaving out very important context. It could just straight up be a lie, or even a fan just making something up out of thin air wanting to stir up drama. But the idea of the experts having a contract with the show makes sense considering how much the show changes the lives of the experts. Jeremy Brown was the buddy they called in for anything related to sports memorabilia. He relocated his store, Ultimate Sports Cards and Memorabilia, just 1 mile down the road from Gold and Silver Pawn due to how much business the show was bringing him. However, there are countless negative reviews accusing Jeremy of selling fake cards, charging $50 to $100 more than the market rate, or extremely lowballing sellers. Wonder where he got that strategy from. Jesse Amoroso, owner of Cowtown Guitars, is the expert they would call in regarding vintage guitars. He also relocated his store to just 1 mile away from Gold and Silver Pawn. Unfortunately, he was also probably the wrong guy to platform. Cowtown Guitars permanently closed its business operations after drowning in negative reviews, with multiple people calling Jesse a thief, refusing reasonable refunds.
That's the only thing. You can't take an opportunity and just, he looked like Dexter, and just fuck people. Like you can't do that, because like I said, people are gonna give real reviews. People are gonna come and tell their story on what happened. And like I say, you run out of business. Just use that for the
horrible
best
customer service. Even their professional sports authenticator, Steve Grad, who was in charge of authenticating all autographs on sports memorabilia on Pawn Stars, got sued for approving numerous forgeries as legitimate. He then admitted in open court that he has never had any education or training from PSA with regard to how to authenticate signatures. He basically said in court that he learned everything he knows about this business from a buddy. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of the Pawn Stars experts are fraudsters. I'm not suggesting what they are doing is illegal or even deceiving, but it is highly controlled so that the house always wins. And some sellers suspect this and straight up admit that they don't believe the experts.
If you wanted to buy this, I'd pay no more than $600 or $700. This one, if you want one of these, I can get you one for $1,500.
No, they're worth a lot more than that. If you think you can find these on the internet for $1,500, knock yourself out, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'd give you $1,000 for the coin.
Is this a real offer, or
that's a legitimate offer? Yeah.
That's not.
Buy it for $1,000, sell it for $15,000. Crazy.
You're just using your position here, trying to buy something for below its market value.
1,000 maybe. So
that would be your
1,000
crybaby whiny opinion. If I come back, it would be interesting to have the same appraisal guy. Sometimes I'd like to smack him, but that's just me.
But it took viewers years to pick up on this.
The thing is, they probably used to lowball people so bad. They probably used to make maybe 15 to 20 times profit. Like, it's so bad. And the thing is, they was able to do it, and they probably still was able to lowball people because of their show. So the show was bringing in so much bank that their real store didn't really matter, honestly. It was probably still bringing in bank, but them low businesses that the so-called pros in that certain field of learning and just knowing, having knowledge of certain items, the guys were stupid because they don't have a show. They was on a show, but they were stupid because nobody's coming for you specifically. I mean, they technically are, but when you lowball them and get all the bad reviews, you're getting fucked, and then you're not on the show because all the bad reviews.
System the Pawn Stars created to maximize their profits. The golden era of Pawn Stars is considered by most to be seasons 1 through 6, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that everything looked more small scale and authentic. There were a few big items, but they were almost always rejected by the Harrisons for being too pricey or impractical. The History Channel had successfully made the Pawn Stars look like good, honest, hard-working, humble American underdogs rather than multi-millionaires who were ripping off honest people, and millions of their middle America fans cheered them on like they were rock stars.
We're basically here celebrating that Pawn Stars is going to Thursday night. We got Leonard Skinner playing in the parking lot of the pawn shop.
Pawn Stars rocks! Congratulations on another great season.
But in the mid to late 2010s, even their fans stopped seeing them as a humble family business and more like ultra-calculated scammers. And once that illusion was broken, the personal lives of the Pawn Stars started to crumble. On June 25th, 2018, the old man passed away after a private battle with Parkinson's disease.
Damn.
His loss was a major blow to longtime fans of the show, and Rick Harrison worked with the History Channel to make a memorial episode to remember him by.
This pawn shop is more than just a place of business. There's a lot of memories here, and most of those memories are with my father. Got the privilege of working with my dad 5 days a week for almost 40 years.
The loss of the old man was definitely the first major sign that the show was on its last legs.
He was really carrying a show like that?
Was one of the few scripted interactions worth watching. From here, Rick had mostly given his role of the genius historian over to the large collection of experts, and Corey had pretty much checked out entirely, as viewers no longer bought the storyline suggesting he wanted to be the next big boss. Then again, even from the very beginning, he never looked like he even wanted to be there.
I probably told my dad I hate him more than I love him.
It's just stupid. It's really stupid. What about the other really bad tattoos you have?
You know, the only chance I have, the only way I have to move up around here is one of them dies.
It's likely that the old man, or the money they were making from the show, is the only reason the family stayed together. Because on screen, you probably would have thought that it was this wholesome, small family, but in real life was an entirely different story. Rick Harrison detailed a lot of the reality behind the scenes in his book, License to Pawn. In one of the chapters, Rick revealed that both Corey and Chum Lee had battled meth addiction before being hired full-time. It also explained why the two struggled with weight throughout the series, as they used fast food as a way to avoid getting high. In fact, 2 years before the old man passed, Chumley was arrested in Las Vegas on felony weapon and drug charges. He was taken into custody when officers serving a search warrant in a assault investigation found methamphetamine, marijuana, and at least one unregistered gun at his southwest Las Vegas home. By some miracle and an expensive lawyer, Chum agreed to 3 years probation to avoid jail time and continued working on the show like nothing had ever happened. As for the Harrisons, life after the old man's death slowly turned into a nightmare in the press, especially in 2022. Although it had mostly been kept a secret, Rick had a long-standing feud with his mom, Joanne Harrison, who slapped him with a lawsuit which states that when she and Rick's father, Richard Harrison, started the shop, she was given 51% of the ownership. After Richard died in 2018, his shares went to Joanne. In the early 2000s, Joanne was in the hospital and allegedly unknowingly signed away her shares.
Oh, they had that lady sign her and waking up from a coma? Hold on.
Rick after waking up from a coma. Additionally, she accused Rick of hiding details of her late husband's assets and failing to provide her with monthly allowance.
That's fucked up. See that's when you getting too greedy. I don't know if their money start to go away, but that's fucked up.
To make matters worse, Joanne filed a temporary restraining order against Rick to prevent him from stopping the monthly payments to her and hiding any family assets. The restraining order stated, while Rick enjoys his comfortable life as a celebrity firmly in control of all the family businesses and finances, Joanne is left frightened and unsure of if she will have enough resources to pay for her considerable medical and personal expenses each month.
That makes them evil. Even though I know they was probably evil beforehand, but just cutting somebody out and being able to make them sign something where they're not mentally stable and just out of it, and just to take their share is fucked up. That's so fucked up. And then not giving her enough to even pay for her medical and personal expenses each month. Like, it probably costs no more than maybe $5K a month to really like just give her something, but she was making way more money than that.
And this only appeared to be the start of the Harrisons' family troubles. That same year, Corey was suspected of driving under the influence after allegedly swerving all over the road in an alleged relapse. While he would manage to walk out of jail 8 hours later, Rick's son Adam Harrison wouldn't be so lucky. Now again, if someone just watched Pawn Stars, you'd have no idea that Rick's family is much larger than it appears. In reality, the man has been married 5 different times, with the latest wife named Angie Palushkin and
I ain't gonna lie, no offense. Getting married 5 times, more than likely, them women are for your money. No nothing else. I'm sorry to say, Brady. They're there for your money.
Man has been married.
She look like she look like she's from overseas.
5
just like
different
the next one I
times,
just
with the latest wife named Angie Palushkin in 2026.
From
those many wives, Rick has had 3 sons, Corey, Adam, and Jake. He also has 3 stepdaughters, Serena, Sienna, and Marissa. And while Jake made some brief appearances on the show, most people wouldn't know that every family member has either worked or visited the pawn shop countless times. Rick's son Adam was one of the family members that worked off and on at the pawn shop, but tragically, most fans only saw his face when his own drug habit took a turn for the worse. In 2024, Adam was found dead after an accidental overdose of fentanyl. It was evident that the family drama and trauma was stacking up to a point where they just couldn't do the show anymore. And in 2025, it was finally announced that the show was not going to be renewed on the History Channel for another season. However, recently they announced a return, but this time without Corey. He said, "At this stage of the game, we're all playing a character on Pawn Stars. I can't play another season of 41-year-old me pretending to be 23. However, Rick and Chum Lee started a podcast at the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, where Rick doesn't really seem like he wants to let go. And even though everyone now knows that Pawn Stars is one of the fakest shows on television, he still has a hard time admitting how staged it really was."
I guess the answer to that question is, it's not a set, but it is kind of a set up.
Yeah.
Mock of the pawn shop up
it's
front.
all the entire show.
It's show business. I mean, I guess they put this facade that is real, that they try to keep that. This shit fake as hell. But I mean, doing that show for so long, of course you're gonna want to keep it going. You're making so much money, especially in your heyday. You was probably making tens of millions of dollars.
Filmed here at the pawn shop.
15 years of dominance on TV just for it all to come crashing down, destroying the legacy of the show forever, which is almost the exact same thing that happened to Impractical Jokers.
Oh my god, if he does a show, he did a oh, I ain't gonna lie, I'm watching that. Not today, we'll save this for another day. This was my fucking show. Hold on.
As they could not prevent their private controversies from making headlines. But check out this video if you want to hear that story.
We'll be putting this in the Twitch Watch Save History. Oh, this, I ain't gonna lie, that was my show. That was my show. Well, I appreciate everybody coming in the stream, watching, sitting, chatting. You know, Pac-Man, I'll fuck with you, Pac-10. Fuck a Pac-10. But hopefully this week we have a lot more streams. Should have a stream tomorrow. But GG's, yes, we will catch y'all tomorrow. L stream, yeah, you come at the end of the stream. Talking about L stream is crazy. What, you was lurking? Crazy, yeah. But nah, we're definitely watching Practical Jokers. That was my show. I watched that. I was so mad when let me see if I can show y'all real quick. I don't remember his name. When he left, when Joe left, I was mad because I mean, even though they're all funny, just taking one out messes up the whole crew. I think he had family stuff that he had. Lurking, I appreciate you lurking. But I think just having being on that show for so long and having family problems, I think my camera, yeah, it's out of focus. It's okay though. We better end stream. But yeah, that show was really good. But we'll have that in the save watch. I'll catch y'all. See y'all when I see y'all. Peace.